Hello, it's the other person who runs this channel. And I know you just rolled your eyes when you heard this hated robot voice, but you clicked on this for tea, or because you're bored in quarantine. Speaking of tea, it's not hot, but it's warm considering this is something that still happens. And don't try to say that it doesn't because it does. Besides, the people who talked about this, at least that I watched, aren't people of color, so I'm pretty sure I can add something to this conversation. Anyways, this is a long intro, let's go. Before we get started, let me clarify, there is a difference between racism and colorism. Racism is the hating of a race, while being a colorist would mean that you don't hate people of color, but you think lighter people are superior. Let's talk about the mindset the industry instills in young girls, both Korean and American. First off, they basically instill a colorist and sometimes straight up racist mindset into most people. They say that if you are not their standards of pretty, basically, if you are darker than an eggshell, you are undesirable. Like, I'm pretty sure most of you watching this know that's not right, but let me give you a scenario. You are a young girl, who is a person of color. Your biggest dream is to be in an idol group you audition, but because you are not pretty, you are turned away because of this. You either give up on your dream entirely, or change yourself to be accepted. Like, bro. Okay, we'll talk about non-Asians in K-pop later, let's move on. This one's kinda like two segments in one. First is about the toxicity in the fandoms. Like, bruh, this is so annoying. I'll be honest, I haven't faced too much racism, and the racism I have faced was easily handled. Most of the toxicity I'll be talking about is from my friends' experiences. No, but it's like we can't breathe without hate. Like, if we do breathe, the racists just nigga. Like, all I did was exist. Why are you so pressed? Can you imagine how pressed they'd be if another person of color broke into the industry? Yikes. But seriously, to the people who claim to be on our side, you're just as bad. How can you be okay with and sometimes defend idols being ignorant? I mean, come on, they steal our music, clothing, dance, and even hairstyles. You better stop! And you say or do nothing to educate them. You cannot use the excuse of they don't know any better. If you don't make an effort to educate them, deadass, it's stuff like this that gets my blood boiling. People of color get disrespected so much that it doesn't even hurt anymore, but that's not cool. It's bullshit. Excuse my language, but seriously, next segment. Now, let's talk about the double standards of foreigners here. Lucky for me, there's a good example of this, Alexandra Reed, and Lana. I'm assuming you all know Lana, but if you don't know Alex, she's a previous member of the group Ronnie. Okay, if you want my honest opinion, I feel as if she was just a PR stunt. I knew something was fishy when they said she couldn't speak Korean. It was obvious it was for clout at that point, which is something everyone already knows, so let's move on to Lana. Unlike Alex, she did actually go through the process of being an idol. She went into training for 2 years, and everything. And some people might think 2 years is a long time, but for a K-pop idol, it's really not. Anything under 5 years is really impressive, so, when I heard she only had 2 years, I was expecting some sort of goddess, but I got this. I don't know why. Please tell, what the fuck is this? She really almost got a win for this bullshit. She sounded out of breath and tired the whole time. I would get it, if she had hard choreo, but all she did was sway her hips a bit. Like, whoever let her debut must have been crazy, because this ain't it, chief. I'm telling you all, it's that white privilege. This last segment is very short, and about one thing, but it's really messed up, so I'm gonna talk about it. This is about Michelle Lee. She was on one of YGE's shows, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure she placed well, and was one of the best on the show, but because K-netizens' racist asses didn't like the idea of a darker girl breaking into the industry, they just let her flop. She was born and raised in Korea, and barely speaks English, but K-netizens let something like skin color make her be treated as a foreigner, even in her own country. South Korea, I love you, but seriously, do better. That ended on a sad note, but y'all, it had to be said. Please go support Michelle and Alex, since she makes her own music now, and I have nothing else to say since I hate people who beg viewers to like and subscribe, but seriously.